Good evening. Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. If anybody would like an agenda, they are on the stool just outside the door. Spence, could you please stand and lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up is disclosure of conflict of interest. Is there any councilor that has a conflict of interest with a vote they will take tonight? Seeing as none, we will move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Could I get a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unfinished business, Order 135, 2019.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
An order providing for approval of forfeiture.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Could I get a roll call, please?
Councillor Morris?
Yes.
Councillor Bofia?
Yes.
Councillor Smith?
Yes.
Councillor Mayu?
Yes.
Councillor Coelho?
Yes.
Councillor Thomas?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Next, under unfinished business, is Order 136, 2019.
Move to read by title only.
And second.
All in favor?
An order providing for acceptance and appropriation of the 2019 Burn Justice Assistance Grant.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there a discussion? Could I get a roll call, please?
Councillor Morris?
Yes.
Councillor Bofia?
Yes.
Councillor Smith?
Yes.
Councillor Mayu?
Yes.
Councillor Coelho?
Yes.
Councillor Thomas?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Moving on to new business, Resolution 140, 2019.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
A resolution providing for a cooperative purchase fiscal year 2019-2020 winter road salt.
Move to adopt.
Second.
And for those in the audience, the summary here is the purchase of winter road salt for all municipal streets, sidewalks, and parking lots. Mark, can we assume this is the lowest price?
This is the price that the state adopted. It's an extension of last year's contract. It is the lowest price.
Great, wonderful, thank you. Is there any discussion from the council? Any questions? From the public? All in favor? Resolution 141, 2019.
A resolution providing for proposed policy for use of perpetual care funds. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council, acting as the municipal officers, that the attached policy be adopted regarding the use of perpetual care funds for the cemetery.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to amend this resolution and add, after the word cemetery, add the language, and that the city manager / finance director be authorized to withdraw funds on an annual basis according to the attached policy.
Second.
There's a second. The motion is seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment?
I'll move the resolution as amended.
Second.
Any discussion on the amended resolution? From the public?
The city's never had a policy about how much to withdraw from our cemetery trust fund. These are perpetual care monies. So when someone buys a lot in the cemetery, one half of the revenue from the sale of the lot goes into a fund that we can spend every year. The other half of the sale purchase goes into what's called the perpetual care fund, because that money is meant to be there to perpetually care for the cemeteries. But we have to be careful on an annual basis that we don't draw from that fund so much that we take down the principal. So that's what this policy attempts to do, or does, is to say we can only take from that perpetual care money the annual income earned. And that way we're not eating at the principal. And we've never had that written anywhere, and I think it's a good thing now to put it clearly in writing.
Agreed.
Any other discussion? Move to a vote. All in favor?
Thank you.
Moving on to Order 142, 2019.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
An order providing for a purchase of hazmat trailer for fire department.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there discussion?
Is this the fire, this is the hazmat truck that we talked about, you're gonna purchase last time? The piece of equipment, maybe I'm mixing up the two with the police department and you guys.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Basically, the Waterville Fire Department runs a state-funded hazmat team, and from
Yeah.
time to time, we can dip into that state funding to purchase specialized equipment to help with our mission. And we have a lot of loose equipment that's on the shelves that we'd really like to put on a trailer. So we've requested money from Maine Emergency Management in the sum of just under $17,000 for the purchase of a custom trailer. This trailer will be built for our specifications. It will have cabinetry in it, heat, air conditioning, so guys can dress up and dress down in all weather. And it will just supplement the hazardous materials and weapons of mass destruction response here in the city. It will be 100% reimbursed.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion from the council? From the public? Seeing as none, we'll go to a vote. All in favor? Next up, Resolution 143, 2019.
A resolution providing for a referral to the planning board. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council, acting as the municipal officers, that in accordance with Article 7, Section 7.1 of the zoning ordinance, a proposal to amend the zoning map is hereby referred to the planning board for public hearing and recommendation.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. No discussion from the council. And this will come back, I assume, after it goes to the planning
That's
board
correct.
anyway?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions from the public? All in favor? We have a discussion item. It says, I recycle. I think this is about our commercial recycling.
Right, and after your last council meeting, I contacted Craig Lefebvre, who's here, I know I saw him in the back of, there you are, at the recycling center on the Armory Road, and talked with Craig about a reduced price from what the city has been paying, which is $1,200 a month. And my thinking in talking with Craig was that at his place, all of Winslow's recycling comes to him. They don't have recycling pickup like we do. Same with Fairfield. All their recycling comes, I don't know all of it, but they don't have another option. In Waterville, we pick up curbside for residences. So I suggested a compromise price to Craig, which he told me last week he could live with, and that would be going from $1,200 a month to $800 a month. Winslow pays $1,200 currently, and Fairfield pays $1,100. My thinking is that we don't probably deliver the amount that either of those communities do, because we have our own separate pickup. I don't know that for certain. There's no way to measure how much each town brings in, but I guess that's my recommendation to you tonight.
And Mike, tell me if I have this wrong, because I know a lot's changed in solid waste, and I don't always keep up with every detail. But currently, the business community is subsidizing our residential trash pickup by the taxes they pay. They're paying an equal amount of taxes, but they don't get trash pickup. This is really the only service that they were getting, because comparatively to residents who, even with the increased price bag, are still getting some subsidy on their trash and are getting a full load of the pickup.
That's right, and you know, that's one of the things that we talked about when the whole purple bag thing came up, is that commercial entities and large apartment buildings who don't have any pickup end up paying through their property taxes for residential pickup that many of us get. And so this was seen when we started the curbside recycling as a way of allowing the commercials and the large apartment buildings to have a place to go to.
Okay, is there some discussion from the council? Sid?
I just recently had some correspondence from my ward concerning this item, and of course, other people from other businesses that have talked to me as well. You know, we don't really do enough on a commercial basis for our businesses here in our community as it is. In order to have something that they can have to go to that's accessible and easy, I think it's definitely an advantage, especially at a reduced rate, which I think is a good compromise and very much in our best interest to keep this. A lot of the people that I have talked to are in favor of it overwhelmingly. I had discussions with them privately on the phone, you know, regarding, you know, the thoughts of the council here and there of what I've heard. I know there are some differences of opinion. I know this was an itemized line on the budget during the municipal budget negotiations that, you know, it went back and forth, and it just happened to fall into the line of being a possible cut, ended up being a cut. But I think with a reduced rate and in order to maintain a business-friendly environment for our businesses to have an alternate place to go to, and even private citizens have talked to me and said they are not happy with the curbside recycling, and they prefer going to the Armory Road because they have more confidence in the Armory Road and actually having the recycling actually happen. In coincidence with the truck that we purchased that had so many problems breaking down. So those are the conversations that I have fielded, and I just wanted to add that in. I don't know if the other councils have other stories, but it's definitely, I'm kind of in favor with the reduced rate and keeping this going.
Craig, can you come up? I'm just curious, how much tonnage goes through your facility in a year? Or
I'm doing 35 tons to 40 tons a week
a week?
by myself.
And
There's no extra money to hire a lot of help in this recycling world right now. I don't know if you're familiar with what's really going on with recycling right now, why we're in so much trouble. You know why we're in so much trouble with recycling?
Could you get a little closer to the mic?
Yeah.
Thanks.
You know why we're in so much trouble with recycling right now?
Why?
It's all because of zero sort. That's our biggest problem. Zero sort screwed it all up for us. That's what China told us, you know. 2013 is when it all started. They shut us down for a whole month. They wouldn't buy our material. Casellas had 500 tons at the port they couldn't move. I had bales I couldn't move. They said they only wanted 5% contamination. We couldn't give it to them. Our zero sort machines can't clean it up enough. I got hired from Hudamarkis to pick up 3 loads of newspaper from them, cut it open, clean it, because it's full of bags, glass, metal. That's where our zero sort's going. It's not working. You need to sort it to market it. Everything I can bale is clean, it goes to the market. Their stuff, you follow it, see where it's going. I don't think a lot of it's getting recycled right now, because I've heard from other people where it's going. So you got to look at your zero sort. It's not working.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do you have an estimate of how much we give you?
No, I can't break it
I
all
mean,
down.
'cause when I
I
run
can
the
give you a
num-
list, though. I can give you a list of,
The reason I say that is I did some research, and I know that on the city side, what we pick up for everyone else is between 400 and 500 tons a year. So at our current rate, if it was at that 500 tons a year, we'd be at $16,000 for recycling cost?
Yep.
So unless you're getting 300 tons of our stuff, it doesn't equate to the $800 that you're asking us for. I mean, they could take their stuff home, put it on their lawn, as long as it's not equaling another 400 some odd tons a year, we're going to break even.
What you're referring to is we pay $32 a ton now.
Yes, we do.
We pay 32 on recycling.
I don't know what you got for figures, I just know I can give you a list of businesses that are coming up there right now. I don't know if that matters or not.
I mean, I'm a downtown business. My family owns a business in the downtown. We own one out on College Ave. We own properties around the city. And we get rid of our own recycling. We have to. I mean, if I walk down these businesses, like Wtvl and a couple others downtown, they'll all tell me that they're not bringing their stuff to you. They're disposing of it themselves. So, again, for me, it's all about numbers. If you're not able to, if you're not taking 300 to 400 tons of our stuff, it's not fiscally responsible for our residents to give you money to run your business.
I can't give you the tonnage, I just know I got a lot of residents coming up there, I got a lot of professors from Colby, I got a lot of businesses, and I don't know the tonnage, I just know I'm getting 35 to 40 tons a week right now. So,
And that's from all the municipalities.
yeah, I got Sydney's involved, I do Sydney's, Fairfields, Waterville, Winslow's.
Now, most of our single sort's not actually getting recycled. It's being just junked at Waste Zero, but
Yeah,
it's kind of a scam. But
and you gotta look at it, how many days was the truck broke down this year? You know what I mean, how many months was it broke down? Mark probably has a better idea. Those people were coming to me when that was broke down. They weren't too happy, but they were coming up there with a lot of stuff. And a lot of it was trash, couldn't be recycled anyways. In the wintertime too, snow days, I get a lot of people. So,
We probably lost about 40, 45 days.
40, 45 days, so I can't give you the tonnage yet, but I know it was a lot of trash too. The recycling is just a disaster. You know, you're stickering them now, they're coming to me with them going. No wonder they're tagging those. People are not recycling what they should be recycling.
A lot of trash in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's never gonna get better.
No, we agree with you about the zero sort thing. I think that was the start of the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah. People got lazy.
yeah, now they don't wanna go back, you know.
Right.
You look at the way Fairfield did it, dumpsters everywhere. It didn't get recycled. The only thing you recycled was corrugated. Everything else went in one packer truck, went to Norwich and got dumped. Winslow did it for a year. Paul calls me up, Craig, you know they're not recycling that stuff? I says, I know, Paul. Everybody left my place this summer with styrofoam, went right to your place. They just dumped it in the dump, that's all they did.
Yeah.
But they got paid for recycling. There's so much of that. If you look at the zero sort right now, track, see where your loads are going. See what you're paying for. You know, you went from $60 to $70 a ton for zero sort. Is it getting recycled? Or is it going to Norwich and getting dumped?
yeah,
Yeah. At least we're paying 32 for the recycling per ton and
So far.
67 for
Yeah.
the waste.
Um,
So far.
To be clear, I pay Gregory's, I throw everything away. I've got 7 people in my house, and it's just financially, that's what makes sense for my family. But my concern is that there are a lot of Waterville taxpayers who are subsidizing a portion of the city to a pretty decent tune on the trash. And that's our business and commercial property owners. And a lot of them that I've talked to feel like they would like to get some kind of service for the taxes they pay. It seems to make sense to me that we would allow that option to continue. Yeah.
I guess the only point I would make is that's part of why we took the action we did to raise the bags, is to get away from taxpayers subsidizing trash. And at this point, it's what, with the increase in price this year, we're going to subsidize it to the tune of like $70,000 or something like that, Mark. That'll be the shortfall, the difference between what it costs and what we collect in revenue. I mean, I sort of have to agree with Jay here that I mean, it would make me feel better if there was some way to track exactly what's going through your facility. Or, I mean, it does seem, it seems like there has to be a lot less. I assume most of the big businesses in Waterville just have a dumpster out back for the cardboard or whatever's recyclable, and that gets picked up. They're not loading it in their car and hauling it to,
Walmart's not bringing it down.
Walmart's not bringing their stuff
Some of them
down there.
bringing in 24-foot box trucks full,
Yeah.
Food pantry comes up every day. The homeless shelter comes in at least twice a week.
But so in that case, why don't you charge them a fee?
Sanitation's bringing in.
But you don't charge those people a fee.
No, it's all part of the Waterville.
So they're, because we give you a subsidy, you don't charge them a fee.
Right.
If we were to remove the subsidy, would you consider charging the big users like that a fee? I mean, it's saving them money because they don't have to dispose of it as trash.
It's the only way they'd come in right now because there's no revenue in the stuff from, bailing, so.
Yeah.
But then you got to deal with all the residents too that are coming in. There's quite a few coming in from, Hathaway Building. They're coming in, Crestwood over there. There's another one over by the trail over there by Thayer Hospital. All that home over there brings their stuff in. They don't have a curbside over there. Then
Yeah, but those are people who have access to dumpsters, right? So, I mean, that's a personal choice.
yeah, they're trying to do the right thing.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Well, if it's, we're recycling, it's not going to the landfill anyways. I wouldn't put the hours I am to throw it away.
Counselor?
I'm not big on the recycling thing, but I tell you, listening to all the arguments and all the points that were put forward, there's definitely a conversation that needs to happen as far as, how much money we're spending. Because if you're taking the 30 to 40 tons a week, if you times that 52 weeks, that's not a lot. But that's not all just from Waterville. So definitely finding out what's coming from Waterville and kind of to try to price that out to compare the money that we're putting forward is definitely something that I believe that needs to happen because it's worth looking into it. Because I never really thought about it like that. If the amount of money that we're putting forward, it doesn't seem like it's equal to the amount of tonnage that we are bringing in, right? And at the same time, I talk to a lot of business owners, and they're really in favor of it. I mean, I don't want to see the service stop. I don't want to see, but at the same time, we want to make sure that it's fair, just for you and for the city as well. So I think there's definitely some more research that needs to be done as far as how much tonnage the city of Waterville brings compared to what we're paying in terms of fee.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with Jay as well. I mean, when you look at the financial aspect, and then you start looking at the budget, and this is like a cut that we made, and that's what a lot of folks want, is the cuts, and where can we make those cuts? And this is one of the cuts that we made, and now we're hearing it, But that's what a cut is. It's going to impact people. Unfortunately.
A real cut.
What's that?
A real cut.
Oh, yeah, a real cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, not just a reduction in costs or anything like that. But this was a real
Now,
cut.
when the homeless shelter asked me today, he says, Chip Bessie, Bessie Trucking, he does it. It's all volunteer. He brings in the cardboard and recycle over there. I says, if the council votes this out, he says, what do we plan on doing with our stuff? I said, Chip, you're going to have to ask the council because I don't really know. What do you want?
I don't know that the homeless shelters recycling is really our problem. I'm just being blunt about it.
So,
I mean,
the food pantry is another one. They come up every day. They were saying, what are we going to do with all our cardboard?
I know. I guess I'm more inclined to hear an argument from a tax-paying entity that we're not already subsidizing. Not that these people don't do good work; they do. I think they're a benefit to our city. But I also think that there is a responsibility line here on that, and I'm not trying to put you down. I'm saying I don't know those are the strongest arguments.
What would we do with like Holy Cannolis? It doesn't have no room out back there to put dumpsters.
Actually. Correct. Are those businesses on Main Street allowed a dumpster behind the Goodwill and things of that nature, that area back there?
I believe so. No. Well, it's city land. It's city land. So if you came to us and asked us, we would probably have to say yes.
You get space. We're not paying for your dumpster. Just to be clear.
I have asked that question before, and I don't remember who I asked. Because I get a dumpster elsewhere off of our property. There is nowhere where all of us that are on that center strip, none of us can have a dumpster anywhere. That's what we were told.
Well, not by me.
You realize how expensive it is to get a dumpster?
Yes, I had one on
We
call.
pay now, you're gonna dump a dumpster on top of us too?
I already have a dumpster. I want my cardboard to be recycled. I don't want it to just be thrown away.
I shopped around to the different disposal companies. I have it picked up at my house, like I do my trash. In order for them to pick it up, I have to sign a second contract to have my recycling done, which is extremely expensive. And I'm already paying a small fortune to have all my trash picked up in the store. We pay taxes as much as everybody else on that council does. In fact, I got my tax bill today. I am not happy with what happened. And you guys are penny pinching, cutting out of service. How much recycling stuff from the city goes there? Is there any that goes there?
From the city of Waterville? Does the city itself send recycling there?
How much does it go where?
Do we send recycling?
Yeah, we're getting some stuff from the schools. They're bringing books up and certain things they're bringing up, you know.
That answer your question?
Oh, I haven't heard you ask one, and if we could actually be a little bit more orderly with the questions and come up to the podium, just to make sure people get on the record.
I can say.
You can go sit down. Hi.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Bergeron. I have Lion's Den Tavern, downtown Waterville. So on the math that you're talking about, how you said it has to be 300 tons to pay for itself, he said he's doing 35 to 40 tons a week. That means only 6.25 tons a week of that has to come from Waterville. When I was a resident here, I always took my recycling there because I knew it got recycled. I've seen that truck. That truck, they just throw all the recycling into the trash side. So I don't have any confidence, and I know a lot of citizens have no confidence that any of that recycling is actually being recycled. So it is bull, and it's deceptive to say, put out your recycling, and then to see them just dump it in the trash. So personally, you know, I would want to take it somewhere that it's going to actually be recycled rather than throw it in the trash. A lot of people don't like recycling. I understand the arguments on both sides, but if I choose to recycle, it should actually be going somewhere where they recycle it. And that's what happens at this center. So I prefer, I have a dumpster. I pay for that service. I still would prefer to take my recycling to be recycled.
Mark, the only time that they were putting trash in, or the recycling in the trash was when the truck was broken, right? And they were using the backup truck. Have we had any issues with the new truck since the company came and went over operations?
Fortunately, it's been running good, and we had to have a maintenance service on it a couple weeks ago, but we hired a separate truck.
And your guys understand that if they were to take stuff that's been put out as recycling and they put it in the trash side of the truck, we're going to pay twice as much to get rid of that as we would if they put it in the recycling side of the truck. So your guys aren't doing that, are they?
No, I can verify we're hauling recycling. We're hauling 10 tons a week recycling.
But a question. So you said it was broken down 50-something days out of 365?
Out of 260.
That's even worse. So just,
Well, you got to factor out the weekend.
right, okay. So it was broken down 50-something days out of 260 days. That means a fifth of the time, approximately. That recycling, people were putting it out, having every confidence that that material was being recycled, when it, in actuality, was just being thrown in the trash.
Yeah, from my perspective, it was really a growing pain with this truck, which has been rectified. How long has the truck been in service without trouble, Mark?
It's been almost 6 months, I think.
And it's still, that's the zero sort stuff that doesn't really get recycled. So you take it to this recycle center, you put it in a pile, it's sorted, it gets recycled.
Some of it. I would wager the same thing, because Craig doesn't take everything that you can put in the zero sort either. And I would wager that the things that are getting recycled are the same things that he's recycling, and the things that are the things that he doesn't take anyway.
But if you think that Waterville doesn't participate in that facility 6.25 tons out of 40, I'm sure there are residents. Every time I went up there, I only see people from Waterville.
To go to Jay's point, if curbside we're picking up 500 tons a year, I find it really hard to believe that people are hauling 3/5 of what goes out on the curb
60%, by her calculation.
up to that facility.
60% a week.
Right.
And
I
I'm not-
only ever took my recycling there. I never
I'm not
put it to
saying that I don't want
curbside.
you to have a place to go. I do.
I have my dumpster. I can just throw it all in the
And I want
trash. but-
everyone, I want Holy Cannoli to have a place to go. The issue becomes, how much do we spend to give you that service? And if it doesn't equal what we are spending on the city side, it doesn't make fiscal sense. So if we could come up with a number that he would take, and 800 is not it, because we're not giving him that much recycling. If we were down $600, maybe that would be a conversation to have to give you guys what you needed. But I don't want to pay more for commercial recycling than I am for the residents of this city.
It's not all commercial recycling. You ask him if any residents go. I
course
was
they
a
do.
resident.
What I would like
went
to see
there all the
is-
time.
What I would like to see, actually, I think, after this evening is not have a vote on, well, I guess we're not, it's a discussion item. But I would actually like to see actual numbers, not brought here on a whim, that have been verified by our finance director. Thank you, Jennifer. Because I think that's the only way we're going to drill down to that,
Agreed.
is to have Mark, Aaron, and Mike present us with numbers that have been, that have gone through a dual control process, so everybody understands how those numbers were derived. That's what you do in accounting. And then presented to the council so we know exactly what we're talking about, and that we're talking about correct numbers, not A, B, and we're sitting here trying to do math on the fly. So, Mr. Veer, welcome.
Bob Veer, Ward 7. I agree with that. We should take a look at the numbers. But I have a couple of questions to ask Department Head Mark Turner. The way that I figure it, rough math, you're telling me that truck has not broken down since February. You just got done stating that it hasn't been broken down in 6 months. This is August, so I'm going back to February. If I recollect, and I have a good memory, Mark, that truck broke down in April as well as in June, because they did not pick up curbside, the recycle that was left in the city of Waterville. Now, I don't know where that truck went, but it did not pick up curbside recycle, okay? Another observation that I made is, I want to say it right. To make this work, I think the whole concept is too complicated for the average citizen. Plastics. I don't even know how many different types there are. 4, 5, number 6, number 8. Cardboard. It's got to be a 3-holer, 4-holer, 10-holer. Newsprint. It can't be colored. It's got to be black and white. How is the general public supposed to know? How many bins am I supposed to have in my house that, okay, this can goes in this bin, that can goes in that bin? It's a can. This piece of paper goes in this bin. Is it colored? Is it laminated? I don't know. It's a complicated system. Another observation that I made, I had the day off, Mark. I took a ride out to Norridgewock. It used to be the airport.
Mr. Veer, I'm going to ask that you direct your commentary this
sorry.
way, not
I wouldn't-
personally at Mark.
Yep, thank you. I went to the Norridgewock Airport. That's how I remember it. Now it's a recycling place. I see the city of Waterville. This orange truck with a city seal on it. It's got a, you know, I can't remember if it's a 60 or 40, but it's got this piece of steel in the middle. So that's a recycle truck. And I see him dump that whole entire load in the hole. And a department head is going to sit here and say, oh yeah, they recycle. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm willing to volunteer to go up to the Armory Road. I'm pretty good at math. But if it takes me to do it, I will figure out how much tonnage Waterville residents, not Winslow, not Fairfield, Oakland, yada, 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 are bringing, because the numbers just don't jive. Thank you.
Can I just interject on
Of course. Of
what
course,
Bob
Mark.
said?
Yep.
When we go to Norridgewock to dump, our dual packer, the mechanism on the back side lifts up and one compartment is dumped, trash. Then we have to drive to a different location. That same back end, the entire back end comes up, we dump again, recycling. So it's two separate dumping sites. If you saw one dumping site, you didn't see it all.
We're not going to have that debate here, but I would certainly welcome you to come to City Hall and we can have a further discussion. And we'll include Mike Roy in that.
Hi, Spence Conley, Ward 6. Just a quick couple observations about this whole debate is he mentioned that we have the zero sort. And I know the zero sort started also about the same time we started paying for garbage bags. And I can tell you from just casual observation walking around on pickup day that the zero sort is, the debate is if it might be recyclable. I'm not paying to put it in one of those bags that's going to tear. I'm throwing it in the recycling. I've seen it everywhere I walk. So the purpose of recycling, my understanding was we're going to help the environment. I don't, if we're just getting it and like he says, it's, you know, a lot of garbage, then we need to do something about that. Either go back to sorting it where you have your multiple bins, or let's get rid of the purple bags and just say, all right, we've increased your taxes, we can do regular pickup again, because that's what I've done. I've taken out of my own limited budget and I pay somebody to pick up, so I don't have to sit there and debate, oh geez, I threw out some chicken and it's starting to smell bad, so I've got to waste this, you know, whatever $3 bag because I don't want it sitting in the house and it's going to take me another 2 weeks to fill up. I'm just going to go ahead and pay the, you know, money to have somebody else come and haul it off for me. You know, we're talking about paying $800. We just blew $750,000 on a slide that is open for 8 weeks. You know, if the businesses are saying, hey, it's worth it, then let's let the businesses be happy. I mean, increase my property taxes again. It's going to happen anyway. I'd rather have businesses here so when I go downtown there's something open. You know, it's getting kind of annoying. You walk downtown and it's like, oh, that's not there anymore. You know? And, you know, just another quick thing I want to point out just to get it on the record. Notice parking is not an issue right now in this area. In a couple weeks when Colby gets back in and it becomes an issue, it won't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out what's causing the parking problems, and we should address that. All right, thank you.
Julian Payne, Ward 5. I agree with the council that if you can't calculate or estimate the tonnage that you're contracting out for services, how do you know how much to pay this? You know, you need facts and figures. Is it 10 tons? Is it, you're getting a bill where you don't know the service. But I think this is a lesson for government. Recycling has been one of the most contentious issues and ongoing that this city has ever seen. It started with HEC, and that's actually how me and Nick met going to these meetings. And it went on for weeks of protests, okay? Now, I think HEC generally believed in the recycling program, as the councilors did. There was more money in it back then. But there was other people, I believe, that saw the benefit of dumping $400,000 onto the taxpayer because you had to buy purple bags. So it wasn't just about recycling. We've had issues from dual packer trucks constantly. It might almost be better just to move back to a regular truck, end this debate, and learn a lesson from it. Because all this time, the council could be doing things. This is dog meetings and community debates for about 4 years now. And it goes on and on. And I question, there's more days that they actually trash recycling things that people have sorted. There's snow days when they're out on the plow. They don't recycle as much on those days. That's true, correct? There's long weekends, probably sick days, you're short staff. So there's a lot more days that stuff is going in there that residents have taken the time to sort.
Just for the record, before we added curbside recycling, there were 260 days a year where everything was just going in the trash. So, I mean, we're still better off than we were before.
Right, but I'm disputing the numbers that you're presenting. I'm not comparing what the known numbers are. I'm saying that there's a lot more than just so many days. There's snow days, there's sick days, there's long weekends.
But that's, I think that's, hang on, one thing we should, there is a group of people who certainly are interested in the environmental aspect of the recycling. At the time that the program was implemented, and I know this because I talked to Eric at the time, and this was certainly his take, it was really about the fact that the recycling costs us, like, what, half to dump? So it was really an economic, you could either pay $1 for the purple bag, or you could pay $5 for the purple bag and throw it. It's all about numbers and tonnage of what's being thrown away, and the recycling. People are incented to do the recycling because they don't have to put it in the purple bag that they're paying for. And that came up because state revenues went down, city spending went up, and there was a hole in the budget to try to fix.
So it shifted over $300,000 onto the taxpayers. And I think in a community, you expect schools, roads, and basic services like your trash will be picked up. You pay taxes for that. Skowhegan, it's free pickup, free sewer. Many communities.
Well, it's not free. It's paid for by their property
You pay
taxes.
it with your 18 mil, right? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, my name is Sid Geller, and I'm here to support the city to use recycling downtown. I don't agree with Eric when he says we have plenty of space for dumpsters. I don't.
I didn't say that, by the way.
Well, you said that the businesses should have dumpsters to separate. Besides the point, I own 7 commercial buildings in downtown. Last year, the city collected in excess of $32,000 in taxes from me. In addition, I've taken a lot of pride in fixing my buildings and also the exteriors. I provide recycling for 2 of the larger office buildings in town. And I personally take care of the recycling. I don't take care of the trash. The tenants take care of the trash themselves. I go to the Armory Road at least twice a week with cardboard and newspapers and office paper. the city should continue to provide those facilities, for the businesses downtown. The city can be supportive and be progressive by showing its concern to these businesses, not just mine, but all the businesses downtown. As far as what I have observed when I go to the Armory Road, not only the businesses go there, but a lot of citizens go there. It's a citizen's choice. I have no choice but to either take my recycling to the Armory Road, or frankly, it's going to be going into the trash, which is going to harm the economy and the environment. I believe that the products we now recycle by the businesses and also the citizens helps keep the landfills available for the trash. And I am in favor of paying taxes, but I feel that the businesses should be given the service for the recycling. Thank you.
Mike, do you feel like in the next week, or at least before the next council meeting, you guys could put your heads together and come up with some numbers on?
There are no other numbers we can come up with.
No.
No. We know our tonnage in recycling, what we deliver. We know exactly what we pay per ton. The problem is Craig has no way of measuring what comes into his facility, so there's no way we could give you any numbers on that.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm from Ward 2, and I talked to my counselor when the bags were going up, because I was like, well, how is that going to work? I don't quite understand, with this, like you were explaining with the subsidy, how is that going to work on the backside?
Sure.
Is there going to be, is this going to go into affect the budget because we're going to be paying more as waste management? I just didn't know, and I got a great explanation, and that's great. And sitting here, I think that the recycling is imperative, especially for the younger generation that lives here. I know that it took one orange tag on my recycling bin for me to be like, well, hot dang, now I need to sit on this recycling for 2 weeks. And we have one of those giant bins, so it's not like it's a small amount. And I think that maybe if we could re-educate the public on what this zero sort actually means, maybe a color pamphlet, this is what's good, this is what's not good, maybe reimagine it a little bit, so that way the businesses are taken care of and the residents are taken care of, because we are subsidizing this, we're paying for it. And I know for me as a taxpayer, I got my tax bill too, and I'm proud of what my taxes are doing. I'm super stoked that there's a 50% cut from all of the grants. I thought that was great. But the bottom line is, if that wasn't there, I would really want that money to be allocated to things for the constituents and the business owners. So you're in a tough spot if you can't get any further numbers to kind of renegotiate that. You're really in a tough spot, and I wouldn't want to be there. But as a taxpayer, a homeowner, I see my street, we all recycle, and it's recycling. So that's just my thoughts on that, but have fun figuring it out.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Yep.
So I guess I have kind of a unique perspective on this, because I was involved in bringing the purple trash bags and the recycling. And actually, I was the one who advocated for paying Craig in the first place. Because as I recall at the time, Craig was going to lose a lot of income because people were going to people stopped bringing their stuff to his facility, so he wasn't doing enough tonnage to make it worth his while. So in order to keep his facility open, we offered him a subsidy.
That's right.
Right? And honestly, I'm still in support of some sort of subsidy. It's a matter of what the amount is and quantifying what the city is getting for what it's spending. But I also want to make the point that this is exactly, all the time we hear people like, somebody will be like, well, it's only $800 a month, and everyone's like, well, $800 here and $800 there, and it adds up to something, as though we're just flipping about the city's money. And I think that what we're trying to make a point here is that we are not just flipping with taxpayers' money. and that we scrutinize every dollar we spend. And this is what happens when the city tries to tighten its belt. And you make an actual cut to something. Something goes away that people didn't realize that they were getting, and then all of a sudden they're not happy about it. And so I think we likely will come to some sort of a compromise solution to keep it so that taxpayers can bring their stuff up to this facility. And to Nick's point, it really was not, first of all, Karen had little to nothing to do with the whole thing, other than she was the mayor. And secondly, it really was a financial consideration. My girlfriend at the time used to keep all the recycling in our garage, and it drove me nuts because she never took it to the facility. And I was like, if you're not going to take it there, just throw it away. So it's not as though I was some, tree hugger fighting for recycling because it was going to save the environment. I fought for it because it made sense for the city's budget, which is the same reason that we're having this discussion.
Yeah, final comment here.
Again, I think most of us here agree that we would not like to see the service go away. All right. I just wanted to comment to the point that this is what happened when we look in depth in our budget. This is what happened when we decided to cut the service instead of looking at line items and reducing line items in order to meet the cuts that we need. Right. This is what happens. We create a public outcry because we're going to cut a service that people actually use, so people will come to city council and speak against it, instead of doing our due diligence and looking on line items in the budget and reducing line items so that we can keep providing the services that we're providing to the people, and not just decide to cut something because we know, down the road people are going to come in because they're going to be frustrated because something's going to be cut. An essential service for them is going to be cut, instead of just doing the right thing and reducing line items.
Okay. So, Mike, an idea where this leaves us going forward. Obviously, there was nothing to vote on tonight. It sounds like, in the general discussion, is the council's not happy with.
Well, we've only paid Craig through the month of August. So your next meeting is after September 1. So at that point, we won't be paying him in September unless you agree on September 3rd to do that.
We're not voting on anything, but my thought would be to go ahead and pay him the $800 for September until we can come up with a more solid solution.
Okay. Well, if I don't hear any opposition to that idea, then we can do that in September and then have a little bit more time, is what you're suggesting.
We have a question here for you.
So Mark, if we add this back in, what do you cut now? Because we're not going higher on our mill rate.
I'll have to offset it with some road money, possibly, road repair money, some savings elsewhere in the budget that we may realize.
We did save some money with the road salt
was a
tonight.
$7,000
It was a $7,000 savings, accepting that bid tonight on what we had budgeted, so that helped. But right, Mark will find another account.
I always look for savings first.
There's money in line items.
Just don't want to go back up on something else.
We're going to move on to councilor updates. Is there any councilor updates tonight? Councilor Mayhew?
Yeah, I wanted to do an update on the committee that we formed over the past couple months, July, August. We've had a couple meetings about the nonprofits, talking about trying to find solutions to our tax mill rate burdensome situation. The committee was put together. We've had a couple meetings. Unfortunately, the reports back from Mike Roy and other councils that I have talked to has reaped no results. There's been no real pertinent consensus on where we go from here as far as the planning stages of having dialogue with the nonprofits in investigating possible ways to find some relief in some other form or manner and our tax mill rate situation. We know that there's a lot of precedent that's out there with certain other nonprofits and other municipalities We know that there is growing residential sentiment about the tax mill rate in Waterville, and we are thinking outside the box. And that is the reason for this committee to further find some kind of solution to that. So with the communication that I've sent out to the council, I would like you guys to consider, not saying you have to make a decision, but we need to make a decision probably within the next month, and rather we move forward, reconvene, or we disband this committee altogether. It's certainly got to be a consensus of the members of the committee as it is right now.
I don't think,
But
I'll
I think,
talk to you after.
but I think we should
Call a meeting.
we should have we should have more discussion and more thinking on a thought process on this, and that's the reason why I'm bringing it up. It's going to require all of us to look inside ourselves and ask us the tough questions of where we want to go forward. So that's the reason why I wanted to bring that up. I also want to bring up, and I think Phil will add into this with the councilor update, the solar committee that we just convened on Monday to study the possibility of actually putting some kind of work and insight and laying the groundwork for possible solar power for municipal buildings and school buildings here in the city to help with energy costs and offset utility costs is really pertinent, and I believe the substance of what we got out of the committee was really valuable. And Phil, I'll give it over to you to explain more of that.
Yeah, like Councilor Mayor said, we had a great meeting with a couple of councilors. Councilor Coelho was there, and a great group of people from the community who really are excited. We're really excited about what this can do fiscally for the city of Waterville. And because one of my main things is how can we reduce the overall energy usage for our city and for schools. And we believe there are ways to do that. The city of Belfast is a great example. They have put forward with that type of project. We have some great partnership. The people from HEP who are building the solar facility currently in town are there to help. We have some great folks on the board, and we're really excited about everything that could be coming from that project. So we should have a report by hopefully March 2020. If everything goes well, hopefully maybe sooner. But we're working diligently on it, and we're excited about what's to come.
Any other councilor updates?
I have an update. So yesterday, I attended my school board meeting. That was my first school board meeting that I attended. I've always been told that if I needed answers, I needed to go to the source, which is the school board meeting. Earlier in the month, I had some reports that after the school budget was closed, there was some extra money that was that came about $700,000, and that was placed into undesignated funds. So I was just looking for answers as whereabouts of that money and the future spending of that money. So I went to the school board, and pretty much the only answer that I could get, they couldn't tell me where the money came from exactly. They said it was from multiple accounts, and that they were going to spend it, some of it, on repairing boilers that could need repair in 1 year or more. I also heard there's some chatter about building a new superintendent office. When we were here during the school board meeting, when we had a meeting between the council and the school board, Superintendent Haley, when asked by a constituent, advised that money would be going back to the constituents if there was a surplus. It is my hope that happens, all right? And again, and that just brought me thinking about the whole, as a new councilor, thinking about the whole process for the budget. And I truly believe that we shouldn't be voting on the final budget until the school gives us their numbers. I really believe that. Either because now it seems to happen year after year where we vote on the budget and then they go and close their budget and then they find money, right? So maybe we just wait. Maybe that's the best solution. So we have actually all the numbers that we need for us to be able to go ahead and make a decision as a council when we're casting our vote. But my main point was I hope that that extra money that came about the school, actually goes back to the constituents like Superintendent Haley mentioned when he was here.
Well, I appreciate that, Phil, because my recollection was it was insinuated that you were in the wrong for even asking questions during those times. So I'm glad that you went and figured that out and brought that report back for us. Thank you. Counselor.
You do realize that that 700,000 is part of our 12%. Like, we knew that when we were looking at our budget. It was part of our budget.
We knew
It
the
wasn't
school.
money, that's not new money that the school got this year. It's not like they saved $700,000 through an account on July 1st. That is years of building up so that they don't have to bond and cost our residents more money. If you give that $700,000 back to the residents, their taxes are going to go up. Their taxes will go up because they have to make up the gap in that 12%. It's disingenuous to sit here and say that our school board in general plays funny with the numbers that they give us during budget season. We had this discussion during budget season. We're past that at this point, looking towards what we're going to be doing next year. What do you want them to do with that money?
Give it back to the taxpayers.
Again, if you give it back to the taxpayers, their rate will go up.
Hang on. I don't really want to renegotiate the entire budget
we're not
here.
doing
No, no,
Yeah.
but the reality is, I'm not sure that the school presented a budget that had $700,000
No, they did not.
as a reserve fund. I believe it had about $100 and some odd thousand as a reserve fund. But we will see. Mike and I have been working on the bond process with Aaron, so we'll, and actually our reserves are part of that conversation. We'll figure it out where it ends. I'd prefer not, that counselor updates don't turn into a debate. Moving on to community notes. Community notes is a time where if anybody has something they would like to say or discuss that was not on the agenda tonight, now would be the time to do it. We ask that you come to the podium, tell us your name, where you live, and take a couple of minutes for your words.
You asked about the timer. It's non-functioning, but we have Plan B.
Sorry, I got it.
2 minutes?
I try to, yeah, and usually I try to keep it loose, and then we'll give them time to finish up after.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Community notes, again, my name is Bob Veer, Ward 7, and I also represent something new on Facebook. It's called Our City of Waterville. I ask you to join, take a look at it. Things are happening. Coming up September 11th, down at Riverwalk Park, down by the river, we're going to have a tribute, the 18th anniversary of 9/11. I'm going to be getting together with department heads, Sean Easler, Joe Massey, representative of Delta. These are all first responders. We have a gentleman in the audience tonight, Mr. Tom, I can't pronounce his last name. I'm not Italian, I'm sorry, Tom. But he was with the West Haven Fire Department down in Connecticut. Sat down with him the other day.
Savinelli.
I'm sorry?
Savinelli.
Savinelli, thank you. And we sat down, and what I thought was going to be a 10-minute meeting lasted longer than that, and there was many a tears. So that's going to happen on September 11th from 6 p.m. probably till 8 o'clock. Looking for some help. Basically, I'm looking for a soundstage. I did reach out to Mike Davis, having not heard back from him. But this is going to be a community event, again, that will represent the 18th anniversary of that tragic day that we all remember, those that were alive. Coming up on September 12th at Gifford's Ice Cream, we're going to have anything that goes beep beep. This is in partnership with Gifford's and our city, Waterville. We're going to be giving back to 2 youths in the area to the Maine Children's Cancer Care Program down in Portland that's affiliated with the Barbara Bush Hospital, as well as Dana-Farber down in Boston. Again, This is a public event. It's going to run from 5 in the afternoon until 8 o'clock. BYOM, bring your own money. I reached out to, I'm not paying, especially with you guys. I heard you guys like ice cream, but anyway. Yeah, Giffords is very generous. They're going to open up pretty much, you know, the entire facility. There's batting cages, putt-putt, miniature golf, whatever you want to call. But the proceeds are going to go to Team Zach and Team Jake. 2 young men in the area. One is from Waterville, one is in Palermo. These are older teens. They're in 15 to 16-year age. Both suffer from leukemia. Matter of fact, Jake is on his second round. He's fighting for his life as we speak down in Portland. So there's a lot of good things happening. You know, we want to help out the city. We're doing good. So just check out our Facebook page, and if you'd like, we'd love to have you. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Before the dreaded clock starts, I had 3 minutes because that's what we were going by.
That's what Bob got, so you got
Thank you. So I just wanted to reach out. I had a lot of emails and Facebook messages concerning a councilor's concerns about a vote I took last night on the school board. And just to be clear, if anyone's known me for quite a few years, the conflict regards councilors sitting there and also being employees of the school district was going on for many years. During the budget repeal, when I went door to door and actually got 200 signatures, the number one concern was, how do you get a fair budget when you have Councillor O'Donnell sitting there working in the school system, voting on the same budget? So I made that decision based on a lot of evidence I heard from community members. And it was actually John O'Donnell, after the council, who had voted to agree on the repealed budget and had a pact, who at the last minute motioned to return 200,000 to the school. So, and in many communities it is illegal. I got emails from the Skowhegan board saying that that's banned. I've got Auburn. So it's a debate. You're going to find both sides in the community. Some believe it is, some don't. But I had to make a tough vote on that. I did think of reaching out to you, but what do you say? And I clearly said at the meeting that it was not about you. It was the same issue with John O'Donnell. And I really had to vote the way my ward felt. You know, I'm sorry if you're upset by it. I don't know you. It's not personal. I don't care if you were Republican. It's not misogynistic because O'Donnell was a male. It was just a decision that I felt in my ward after all the feedback. And I think, quite frankly, if I'd have actually voted for it, half the people would have said, what? You know, the king of talking about conflict. So I just really wanted to make that to your attention. It was a really hard vote. I make a lot of good votes on the board. Some people won't like. You know, sometimes in politics, things are so controversial now, any vote. And it was a tough vote, but I did what I thought was right at the end of the day, and it really wasn't about any councillors. And, you know, Mike Roy had actually facilitated a meeting with the city lawyer years ago to go over these issues and explain them. And it really did dog a lot of past budget discussions. And so it's a charter issue, but I just wanted to make very clear that really I'm happy you've got the job. You know, I was only one voice on the board. It's over, and we move on now. That's how a board works, you know. So congratulations on the job, and I just generally wanted to voice concerns I had in the community. And I was very clear at the meeting that it wasn't personal, and I said any councillor, any position. And, you know, you can find 50-50 people to debate both sides of the issue and put a good argument either way. So thank you.
Spence Conley, Ward 6 again. I just have a quick question. I was walking to my MRI today, and I went past the pool, and I saw that it was closed. I know I thought about it. I was like, geez, you know, we could have kept it open a couple more days. Is that something that's feasible? And anybody can answer. Just like I said, it seemed like today I was like, dang, that would have been perfect for kids. You know, a couple more days before school. Again, my just question, or at least put it out there, can we keep it open until?
I know that we did look into that, but a lot of the lifeguards all have to get back to college. So that's why, no, I wish that it could be open longer, but
Can we,
But that's
is there a
what- that
possibility
was
of
my
getting
understanding.
volunteers or anything like that?
I
to
mean-
lifeguard? I don't know, like I said, I don't know
right,
insurance-wise.
we did, yeah, you guys.
It was a pretty big conversation that, you know, Megan and I had, we were on the Parks and Rec committee, and that was the one thing that when we first walked in, and be like, we've got to get it open.
Yeah.
I would like to keep it open till Labor Day, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
just-
yeah.
I mean, that would be great, you know, but, you know, unfortunately, at this point where we're at, I mean, and
Yeah.
I'm still not
No, I just
satisfied
like
on
I-
the no, but,
Yeah,
you know.
I just saw it and I was like, wait, can we look into keeping this? I mean, if it were up to me, I'd be like, December's good. You know, then we can start skating on it or something.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. I just, like I said, just wanted to see what was going on with it.
Yeah.
Great. Is there anybody else for community notes? Hi, welcome.
Hello, thank you. My name is Christine Callahan. I'm from Ward 5. And I do have some questions for the mayor.
Sure.
Okay. I noticed something came up on my feed, and it,
Hold on a minute, yeah. You want to pull it down?
Yeah, you can yank it right down in front of you. Yep.
okay. And it was something that solicited Restore Maine's Future.
Yeah, that's a nonprofit organization.
Correct.
That I'm director of.
Because being who I am, I researched it.
Yeah.
And it belongs to you?
It doesn't belong to me. There's a board of directors. I am a employee.
Okay, because I did research and it did not come up, no board of directors. I researched the entire magazine and,
Oh, it was reported in the Bangor Daily News back when the organization was launched earlier this year, maybe back in February or March. I don't remember the exact date.
Mhm. But the state of Maine only has a registered agent and clerk as you?
Correct.
So the,
I have a board of directors with 5 people.
okay. I read the magazine and I'm just curious because on the donation page, it's very vague. There is nothing that says what the donation is for, where is it going, what's it going to be used for, nothing at all.
Sure, it goes to a variety. I mean, I could sit down for probably hours and talk to you about it. I mean, it's a nonprofit organization that goes to activities, whether it's paying travel stipends or going around and providing education. The purpose of the organization is to encourage a larger amount of voter participation. You know, in probably a very similar way that the Maine People's Alliance has their very similar mission, which is to influence legislation and to encourage people's understanding of political issues here in the state of Maine and to encourage their participation in those issues.
Okay, because it's conflicting. So there's no donations or anything that you receive from any of those nasty organizations?
I have not received any, or to be honest, I have, as at this point, there's only a handful of very small grassroots donors. I have no large organizations donating
Or
to my
people like, you know, white nationalists and things like that, because,
Absolutely not, ma'am.
okay, good.
No.
Because that was a concern, because,
Yeah.
you know, some of your posts, now that I'm researching, kind of put you
Well,
on
if you,
the fence.
well, yeah, I mean, if you believe what the Maine People's Alliance and the Maine Beacon and people like Ben Chin and Mike Tipping have to say about
Well,
me.
no,
but-
I was looking at your post, actually. That's what I was looking at, your post. And I.
Yeah, listen, I'm not, yeah, listen, okay, you've had your time. I'm not going to sit here and listen to these kinds of slurs.
I'm not slurring, I'm looking at you.
Okay, I've not,
That was you.
yeah, they're all public. People can go to Restore Maine's Future. It's a Facebook page. Actually, I'd encourage you to do so. I would love people to go and
Right,
visit the page.
And I'm just reading what you wrote. I'm not slurring you, I'm reading your post, and that's why I asked the question.
Okay.
I can read, I'm very well-educated, so I do understand what I'm reading, and that's why I'm asking you that question.
Okay, well, the answer is no.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This will be the last community note.
Kathy Weeks, Ward 1. This question is for Mr. Mayu, where you did talk about the group and the nonprofits. I just want to reiterate that, you know, we're looking at what Bowdoin has done for their community, as you know, and I think you're in agreement with that. They are totally concerned about that community and their residents. So I've talked with a lot of residents throughout the city. They're very concerned, and hopefully we can move forward. Thank you.
So I know you said that was last community note, but I've waited my turn, so I'm here
Sure.
now.
I thought there was not a line, so
No worries, yeah, it's
you've
just-
got your time, for sure.
Thank you. So I'm from Ward 2, and I am as well here as for something that I saw that you signed on Restore Maine's Future. And I just want the council's views, because not often do you speak out unless it affects you politically as to what what is being said by our elected official in regards to political correctness, which is what we're talking about. And there are two quotes. In order to once again raise our people up and achieve the greatness that is our destiny, we must break free from the shackles of PC slavery, joining together to become part of something bigger than ourselves and put an end to the decline. And then sign up to be a volunteer for boots on the ground, tactical activism, and please consider making a donation on the link below. It's a statement, yes.
Yeah.
So the first quote that I said, I'd just like to rework the visage that you gave. So in order to once again control the narrative government and reign supreme and to achieve the manifest destiny that is our right, and manifest destiny was the
I don't
genocide.
think I used it to any of those two.
You said manifest, here we go, I'm sorry. To achieve the greatness that is our destiny, must break free from the shackles of PC slavery. So
Yeah, I am against political correctness. I think political correctness is left-wing bullying to get people to be quiet and to intimidate them from speaking the truth, and that's my thoughts, and I'm not ashamed of it.
So I would like to know your thoughts that are, the ideas of diversity are equaling the demise of Maine people. This is what you think. That you think you should be able to push this rhetoric that is hate-filled.
It is not hate-filled.
It is.
It is not hate-filled.
I'm
sorry you interpret it that way.
You push posts about black drug dealers, completely ignoring the multitude of white drug dealers. And then you push it about being immigration, and it's not, because you like to push the argument and start a fight. And that's my point. And it seems like that you're okay with it. And I really wonder, is the council okay with our mayor pushing rhetoric that is hate-filled? Because that's what this is on the Restore Maine's Future. And I don't mind, you can sigh, it doesn't matter, but I would like to know what the council thinks on these quotes. Are you okay with that?
This is community notes. It isn't debate time. And
I'm
your
not
time,
asking a yes
is
or
up,
no.
ma'am. Your time is
So the
up.
council is not going to answer how they feel on your rhetoric.
You can ask them personally if you would like to.
I wanted it on the record, but you've made your point. Thank you. Thank you.
I think what you just did was lunacy. That's what I think, to be honest with you. That's fine. All right. This will be the last community note.
Hi.
Hello.
Once again,
Hi.
Jennifer Bergeron, Lions Den
Order.
Tavern. And
Yes, ma'am.
I just wasn't going to say anything, but now I feel it would be appropriate to say we opened last week, so if anyone wants to come for a drink,
I might need one.
might be the time to come and check us out.
You need to. Thank you. Mike, manager's report.
Mike.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Okay. Item 1.
Oh, sorry.
Item 1 is the big meeting on September 10th regarding the Main Street project, right? Item 2, concourse redesign is, the engineering work's almost done, so I think in the next 2 weeks, you'll have plans that you can look at. You okay? I think we're okay. We all know about the slides being completed, but don't forget that there's major work going on with the rest of the pool facility in terms of the engineering to develop a plan about what needs to be fixed and what it will cost. So that work hopefully will be done in mid-September. Castongway Square, nothing new. Head of Falls next Tuesday. important meeting with the development group. So if counselors wish to attend, 10:30 in the morning, of course, we can only have three. We have three. Next Tuesday morning, a beginning meeting with this group for the Head of Falls development. Streetlights, still on target, replacing our streetlights.
Still waiting for CMP to furnish the contractor agreement with Affinity.
Affinity is the contractor putting in the new LED lights. Should be terrific. And of course, there will be a savings too.
Big savings.
Lockwood Mills, we finished all the TIF stuff. Thank God. There was a lot.
Yes.
Councilor Bofia mentioned the solar projects. They're both still moving forward. The one at the landfill and the smaller one, the Runswick property. Riverwalk, don't forget, in September, there'll be a new awning going up in front of the amphitheater area. We talked a little bit about the bond issue. So bids for our bond sale should be in on September 10th. So at your September 20 meeting, I think, we'll have those bids to look at and what the interest rate will be on this borrowing. We had the call last week with Standard and Poor's on our rating Standard and Poor's. Thank you for sitting in, Mr. Mayor. We've done it before, and I'm hopeful. I think you are too. We may get an improved bond rating. I'm hopeful.
No guarantees.
Nope.
No, not at this, no guarantees, but
That's
we're
what he
rooting
said.
for it.
No guarantee. The last item, as you can see, is all the work on the TIFs. This has been an incredible amount of work because we had 3 credit enhancement agreements. One for Mercy Woods. You know, they finally have gotten that project off the ground. Construction has started right across from Seton Hospital with a new access road into that development at Mount Mercy. Lockwood Mills is done, and of course KRP Realty right across the street. So we finished that. And actually there were 5 TIFs because out of the 3, 2, Lockwood and KRP required amending an existing TIF. The KRP buildings came out of the downtown TIF. We had to amend the downtown TIF in order for that to happen. The Lockwood came out of the Hathaway TIF, so we had to amend that to pull the Lockwood buildings out. So we have 2 TIFs there, just like we have 2 TIFs here. Well, actually, we have 3 TIFs here. So unless you have any questions, that's, I think, an update on the major stuff going on. Okay? Good. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.